Welcome to the Get Fit Guys, quick and dirty tips to slim down and shape up. My name is Ben Greenfield, and I'm the Get Fit Guy. 5 years ago, I made a transition from working as a full-time personal trainer to spending more of my day sitting, or standing, in front of my computer, researching writing, podcasting, and doing online fitness and nutrition consulting. Over time, I realized that there's a big difference between being active on your feet all day and sitting in front of a computer or simply being indoors. And even for a guy like me who's really into fitness, it can be hard to work out after a long day inside an office. I bet you've experienced this too. So in this episode, you'll learn exactly what to do to keep your body from feeling too drained to exercise after a day of work. Let's look into why working out at the end of a workday is hard in the first place. When it comes to the way you feel at the end of the day, there's a stark contrast between A, being in the open air doing boot camps and receiving constant metabolic stimulation of personal training sessions, and B, sitting at a coffee shop or home office with your butt planted in a chair all day as you're bombarded by electrical waves from your computer and your router. The good news is that you're about to find out what I had to learn the hard way through back pain, shoulder tension, lack of sleep, headaches, and burnout. So here are the 5 ways that a long day at the office could be destroying your body, along with, of course, quick and dirty tips on what you can do about it. Tip number 1 is electromagnetic fields. And no, I'm not a hippie with a cabin in the woods where I sit all day wearing a tinfoil aluminum hat. I'm a regular guy who likes to protect his body and stay on the cutting edge of health and longevity. And the fact is that electrical pollution, or electromagnetic fields, aka EMF, from your smartphone, your Wi-Fi router, your computer, and everybody else's Wi-Fi signals in your office is kind of a big deal when it comes to your brain and your cells' health. It's why if you look at the teeny tiny warning label that came with your phone, it tells you not to bring the thing near your head. So what can you do about it? Well, there are 3 things that I do. Number 1, I avoid Wi-Fi when I can, and I plug hardwire into the modem whenever possible. Number 2, I keep my phone in airplane mode when I'm not using it. Number 3, I use a special type of phone headset called an air tube headset. And finally, I follow most of the tips that I read in an excellent book I'd recommend you check out. It's called Zapped by the author Devra Davis. Tip number 2 is breathing. Now, for just a second, I want you to answer this question. Are you breathing deep from your belly with your mouth closed through your nose? Or are you breathing through your mouth with your chest rising up and down? Now, if you're like a great majority of the population, the answer is you're breathing in that second way. That's called shallow breathing. And trust me, it's super easy to fall into a shallow breathing rut when you're working on your computer. I don't know why, it just is. But if you're not breathing deeply, this can create huge problems, since deep breathing patterns are how your body maintains a high metabolism, delivers oxygen to vital tissues, activates your abs, and keeps your blood pH from increasing. So you basically suffocate your body and shrivel up your core ab muscles if you don't learn how to breathe the right way. So what can you do about it? Well, first, you can check out my Get Fit Guy episode, How to Breathe the Right Way, which I'll link to in the show notes, and you can learn how to breathe optimally with the tips that you'll find there. I personally start off every day with 5 minutes of deep breathing, just to set the standard for the rest of the day. Now, if you want even more breathing help, then you should learn yoga. You'll never breathe the same way again after you've been through that. Tip number 3 is posture. Now, whether you sit all day or you have one of those newfangled standing workstations, poor posture is the best way to ruin your low back and hips, and, deja vu, also stop yourself from breathing properly. This one really isn't that hard to fix. Try this. Just squeeze your butt and pull your shoulder blades back while you're sitting. Do that. Lots, until it becomes automatic. Voila, I just saved you hours of staring at proper posture websites. Now, if you do indeed want to study posture even more, then I'd highly recommend you review the episode 7 Ways to Burn Calories by Standing More. In that episode, I teach you how to stand more at your office, but I also teach you some even more involved posture tips. I'll link to that episode in the show notes over at quickanddirtytips.com. Tip number 4 is the defensive position. I'm not talking about football or basketball here. I'm talking about the defensive position you're in when you spend the day hunched up over a computer. The defensive position is technically a fetal position. Yes, a thumb-sucking, curled up under your bed, crying like a baby, fetal position. Now, it's not your fault. It's just that your body's natural protective stance to guard your vital organs is to curl the neck, roll the shoulders forward, and hunch over. Exactly what you do when you're constantly staring at your computer. And the problem is that when you do this, you also do things like churn out stress-releasing cortisol hormone, and every tiny muscle in your body gets all tight and knotted up. So either A, get that standing workstation I mentioned earlier and use good posture with it, or B, address your posture in the way that I discussed in tip number 3, or C, fix the ergonomics of your workstation. For a more scientific resource on fixing the ergonomics of your workstation, check out the link I'll put in the show notes called The Human Factors in Ergonomics Society, which was founded in 1957 with the mission to promote the discovery and exchange of knowledge concerning how human beings can interact more naturally with systems and devices of all kinds. That's right, there's information out there about how you can actually use your computer naturally. Now, tip number 5 is iPad insomnia. And yes, iPad insomnia is not a highly technical medical term. Seriously, though, this topic has actually been researched, and I'll put links to the research in the show notes. When you use an iPad, a computer, an e-reader, a TV, or any other eyeball-straining screen, you decrease your body's natural melatonin production by over 20%. And melatonin is the stuff that you need to sleep. But that's not all. Reduced melatonin production has been associated with various physical ailments like diabetes, obesity, and depression. You can check out the article that I'll link to in the show notes called Can't Sleep? Blame the Tablet for more on this phenomenon. Now, I personally use a free app called Flux on my desktop and laptop, which dims the computer screen after the sun goes down, and I wear special, nerdy, blue light blocking glasses when I'm viewing a screen in the evening. Yeah, I look like a geek, but quit laughing. I sleep like a baby. So, that's it. Once you've implemented these 5 quick and dirty tips into your daily routine, you'll find that you can finish a long day of work and you still have energy and you still feel like working out. Or you get a very good night of sleep so you can actually exercise the next morning without being too groggy to pull off even one push-up. Remember, it doesn't matter how much money you make at your job if you're gaining weight, experiencing constant migraines, and wondering if you'll live long enough to play with your grandkids at this rate. So listen to this episode again if you need to review each of the different tips that I give you: EMF, breathing, your defensive position, iPad insomnia, and posture. And then if you have more questions about ways to get in a workout after a long day at the office, then join the conversation over at facebook.com/getfitguy. And until next time, I'm the Get Fit Guy asking you, what are you waiting for? Go get fit.